Hi Year 2, welcome to your English lesson for today. It is Monday the 8th of February 2021 and today's English lesson is going to be relating to our Stand Up Speak Up week. It's a very exciting week that we are celebrating as a whole school. We celebrate it every year where we look at people who have spoken out for those who need it. So those who fight for change and try to make a difference. And we're going to be looking at a special text this week that relates to our Stand Up Speak Up week, and I'm very excited about it. Okay, to start us off this morning, I would like us to complete some handwriting. Now, you haven't been set any spellings for this week because on Friday we do break up for half term. So what I am going to ask is in every English lesson this week, we are going to practice a common exception word, a word in year 2 that we should know how to spell. So this word is for the wise owls and the spelling bees, and it's the word after. After. And I would like you to write it 3 times, whether you're using the handwriting strip at the top of the piece of paper or your own paper. Please make sure it's nice and neat and be checking for those ascenders or any descenders. There's none in this word, but be checking that those are formed correctly too. Pause the video and complete your handwriting. This is your starter for today. You can complete this on a bit of scrap paper, on a whiteboard if you're in school, or on the back of your worksheet. I've written a sentence and it's not right. There are 4 mistakes in my sentence. Listen to this. The boy runned down the stairs. Ooh. My sentence is in the past tense. It's happened. But that verb, runned, isn't right. If somebody is running or the verb is to run, when I use it in the past tense, it's not runned. I wonder if you could figure out what it is. There's also 3 other mistakes in that sentence. Pause the video here and have a go at writing out that sentence correctly for me. Pause the video and complete that now. Okay, hopefully you've spotted all 4 of my silly mistakes. The first mistake was that this sentence should have started with a capital letter, and it didn't. The second mistake was the spelling of the word boy. It should have been oi, toy to enjoy. And you should have spotted that if the verb was to run, and in the past tense I've written runned, that wasn't right. It should have been ran, showing that it happened yesterday or whenever. And then the final mistake should have been that I needed a full stop at the end. Check that against yours now and let's see if you've got that right. Well done everybody for doing a great job. Okay, this week in school we are celebrating Stand Up Speak Up week, and this means that we take a week in our school calendar where we think about all of the amazing things that we do to stand up and speak up. Maybe we're really passionate about something and we want to change it or make it better, and this is our opportunity to do it. Now, we always link it to our UNICEF Rights of the Child because we are a rights respecting school. We've actually just achieved our silver award and I think we're going for our gold. So this week we're thinking about what it means to be an activist. And in Miss Foster's assembly, she's going to tell us what that means. An activist is a person who stands up and speaks out because they want something to change. Now, I found a brilliant text for us to look at this week, an inspirational text, and I've got it here with me now, and I'm showing you a picture of it up on the big screen. So the inspirational text is called Kamala and Maya's Big Idea. And it's a story of 2 little girls, and they're on the front cover. It's the story of 2 little girls, and they want to change something. They notice something in their lives isn't how they want it to be, so they decide to try and change it. Before we read the story as a group, I wanted to share with you the blurb from the story. And remember, when we find a book, the blurb is usually on the back, and the blurb usually tells us what the story is going to be about. There isn't a blurb on the back of this book. It's a hardcover. I don't know if you can hear that, but there's a picture on the back. But instead, the blurb is on the inside cover here. and I've decided to type it out onto the screen to share it with you now. Here's the blurb. One day, Camilla and Maya had an idea, a big idea. They would turn their courtyard into a playground. And it's based on a true story. This is the uplifting tale of how the author's aunt and mother first learned to persevere in the face of disappointment and to turn a dream into a reality. That means that even though something might make them sad, they've decided to fight for it anyway because they want it to change. This is a story of children's ability to make a difference and of a community coming together to transform their neighbourhood. This sounds like such an exciting story, and it also sounds like the perfect book for our stand-up Speak Up Week 2. Let's see if we can read it. Before we read the story, I wanted to do a little bit of a vocabulary check because this story is set in America and it's a new book that's just been released too. And some of the words we might not have heard of before, or we might have heard of them, but they might mean something different to us. So I wanted us to look at these words. The first word is the word courtyard. And the girls have a courtyard at the bottom of their apartment, and this means it's an area that doesn't have a roof, but it has walls at the side or buildings around it. So when I imagine that in my mind, I imagine the courtyard to be in the middle of some buildings that might surround it, a little bit like a square. The next word is a landlord, and we've heard about a landlord in Luna before, but a landlord is just a person who a building belongs to, and Camilla and Maya live in a building where there is a landlord. And then there's this funny word, a teeter-totter, and that just means a seesaw. So in America, the children call a seesaw a teeter-totter. I thought that was quite interesting and one to share. There are 3 more words that I wanted to share with you guys. The first one is a sandbox. That's just a box that's filled with sand, a sand pit. The next one is a potluck party, and a potluck party is where all of the community come together and they all bring a different plate of food. And then on the screen as well, there are some pictures of what might be available at a potluck party. And in the story, they have one towards the end. And then the final word I wanted to share with you is this word here, a sidewalk. That's just another way of saying a pavement. So those were 6 words that are in the story that I wanted us to discuss. If you want to pause the video here and go back and listen to those meanings again, you can do now. Okay, it is nearly time to read the story, but before we read the story, I feel like there's some pieces of information I must share with you. Now, the author of this story is a lady, she's here at the top of our screen, called Mina Harris. And she's actually a lawyer, so she's somebody who fights for the rights of others. But she writes books as well, and she also started a charity. And in June of 2020, she released this book called Camilla and Maya's Big Idea. And the story is based on her mum, which is this lady here, called Maya Harris, and her auntie. And her auntie is somebody very famous who some of you might have seen in the news quite recently. If you've not seen this person in the news quite recently, that's okay, but you might have heard people talk about her. She's at the bottom of the screen and she looks very proud, and that is Kamala Harris. And Kamala Harris is the Vice President of the United States. So she helps the new President of the United States with his job, and her job is extremely important, and she's actually the first woman to be a vice president, which is so exciting, and it fits in with our stand-up speak up week, doesn't it? She's standing up and speaking out for those people whose voices need to be heard. So the story relates to lots of things, but I just wanted to let you know this little secret that the author, the lady at the top, Mina Harris, her mum is a famous lawyer, but her auntie is actually the vice president. So exciting. Okay, we are actually going to read the story now of Camilla and Maya's Big Idea. I've had to move back here so that I can share the pictures with you, but I will also include a link as well to the author reading this story if you want to hear her reading it as well. So I'm going to read the text to us, Camilla and Maya's big idea. Make sure you're sitting comfortably too. You know what should be out there? Camilla asked her sister Maya. Us, said Maya. A slide, said Camilla. And a swing, Maya added. A playground, they shouted together. Camilla and Maya had an idea. It was a good idea and a very big idea. They were going to need help. What is their idea? Wouldn't it be great if there was a playground in the courtyard? Maya said. That does sound nice, Mum agreed. How can we make that happen? Camilla asked. Well, I suppose the first step would be to ask the landlord, the person who owns the building. So Camilla wrote a letter and Maya drew a picture, and they went to see the landlord to discuss their idea. What do you think the landlord's going to say? The landlord thought about it for less than a second. I don't think so. No. That was not the answer that they wanted, but they weren't ready to give up. That night, the sisters tried to think of a way to turn a no into a yes. What do you think their idea is going to be? They asked the other kids in the building if they wanted a playground in the courtyard. Did they? Of course they did. And they had ideas too. Let's have a teeter-totter and a basketball hoop and flowers. So Camilla wrote a longer letter and they went to see the landlord together. I'll read you her letter. Dear landlord, right now the courtyard of our building is empty and no one uses it. If there were swings, kids could fly high. If there was a sandbox, kids could build. If there was a slide, kids could go so far, so fast. Can you build it, please? I wonder if this will persuade him. The landlord thought about it for less than 5 seconds. A project that big is expensive. We don't have the money for that. Do your parents know you're here? This was not the answer they wanted, but Camilla was not ready to give up. If we ask our parents and do it all ourselves, can we fix up the courtyard? The landlord thought about that for a while, maybe 10 seconds, and finally he shrugged. If you can do it yourselves, then sure. Do you think they can do it themselves? This wasn't exactly the answer they wanted, but it was a start. The kids all spoke to their parents about their ideas for the courtyard. They hung up posters and knocked on neighbours' doors, but they got the same answer from everyone. I'm sorry. Wow, that's a big job. I wish I could help. Which they knew meant no, no, no. The poor girls, all they want to do is make a change. But then Mr. Green stepped to talk. I work construction and I could maybe get some scrap lumber and some sand for a sandbox. Really? Camilla said. Yes, exclaimed Maya. Okay, I'll try. It wasn't a yes, but right now, maybe was the sweetest word they'd ever heard. Maybe gave them hope. The next weekend, maybe turned into a yes. The kids all helped measure and Mr. Green cut the boards. Then they sanded and hammered and sanded some more. Then came the actual sand. They're getting a sandbox. They were all thanking Mr. Green when Miss Lopez stopped to talk. I work at a garage. Maybe they have an extra tyre for a teeter-totter. Another maybe. In the weeks that followed, lots of I don't knows turned into maybes and then yeses. They're finally getting somewhere. No one could do everything, but everyone could do something. Camilla and Maya wanted everyone to celebrate the new playground, so they made another big poster inviting their neighbours to a potluck party. I told you what one of those was. There were hot dogs and hummus, spicy chicken and potato salad, strawberries and brownies and lemonade. Mrs. Flores set up a sprinkler for the kids to run through, and Mr. Green brought the music. Camilla admired the new playground, but she noticed that there was still one thing missing. No one knew how to make a slide, but Miss Flores knew where they might be able to buy one. I teach at Emerson Elementary School, and they are redoing their playground. Maybe we could buy the old slide. This was a different kind of maybe. How can we afford that maybe? But now everyone was trying to find a way to turn that maybe into a yes. These brownies are delicious. Maybe we could have a bake sale. We can all bring toys and books and have a sidewalk sale. So they're going to sell their things or some things they don't want anymore on the sidewalk, on the pavement. No one could do everything, but everyone could contribute something. So everyone was able to bring something. When the slide arrived at last, Maya and Camilla got the first ride. The landlord was impressed. I want to shake your hands, girls. You did a good job. You all did such a good job. Camilla and Maya had an idea. It was a very good idea and a very big idea, and with a lot of help, they made it happen. Hooray for Camilla and Maya! Hooray for the Purr sisters! What's next, Camilla? Camilla, looking up, said, I'm wondering what the view is like from the roof. Even though they were just two small children, they wanted to make a difference, and they were able to do it with lots and lots of help. But that small idea that started in their minds turned into a huge, exciting opportunity. As part of our Stand Up Speak Up week, we're thinking about activists, and being an activist means standing up and speaking out about what we are passionate about. And this book teaches us that we're never too small to make a change, and our voices matter. I just wanted to remind you of the last sentence in the story. Camilla, looking up, said, I'm wondering what the view is like from the roof. And I wanted us to think about what this means because I told you before that Kamala Harris is the Vice President of the United States of America, and she's the first female Vice President. And it's such an exciting time for her. And in the story, she says that she wonders what it looks like from the roof because her little idea that they had about changing the courtyard, they were able to do that straight away. So that phrase from the story tells me that Kamala had lots of exciting ideas in her mind. And actually, she never gave up on them because now she's doing such an important job and representing lots and lots of people and doing the right thing. Here is your main activity for today. I don't think you will need me for this main activity today because there are only 4 questions that I want you to answer. You've listened to the story, Camilla and Maya's big idea, and what I would like you to do is answer the 4 questions about the story. The first question is, what was Camilla and Maya's big idea? What was the idea? The second question says, why did the landlord keep saying no? Number 3 says, what did the girls do to get what they wanted? What did they have to do to get their playground in their courtyard? And number 4 says, no one could do everything, but everyone could do something. What does that mean? No one could do everything, but everyone could do something. So that means that one person couldn't do it all by themselves, could they? One of the girls couldn't have had that idea alone and done something about it. They had to involve everybody so that it was done. If you do need to, boys and girls, you can go back and listen to the story again and answer those questions. If you do need me, drop me a little message on Teams in our chat box and I can help you out the best I can. But I really think you'll be able to answer those 4 questions independently. Remember, capital letters and full stops. I hope you've enjoyed this text today. We're going to use it this week to inspire some writing, and I really hope you've enjoyed hearing about Camilla and Maya's big idea, and also knowing that it's a real person as well who started off small just like you guys and had that special idea and was able to do not only that but become a person of power like she is now as well. She's got a very important job. Thank you for listening, everybody, and we'll see you very soon.